You want to beat down the man.
Of course.
So therefore you want to withhold sex.
I want
and
you
that
to feel my pain.
emasculates the man, makes him feel less than,
Yes.
and now as a woman you think you have control.
This is Vivian Raul
And this is Raul Villacis.
Welcome to the podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the God, Money, and Sex podcast. My name is Vivian Raul.
My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm so happy that today is our podcast because we have a couple of things to talk about that are important.
I thought you were going to say, I'm so happy that today's our date night.
That's it.
I feel like I haven't seen you, babe. Like, we've been running around.
Running around 100 miles an hour, have meetings after meetings.
You're always doing something.
But Thursdays for us is always special.
Yes,
It's date night. It's date night. So what's the topic today? What are we going to talk about today?
So we're talking about, I know we have some, like 2 videos. Both of them are really great. I saw one of them. I didn't see the other one. But we're talking about how women emasculate men.
That's one of the, I'm prepping for a video that I'm going to shoot next week when I talk about the rise and fall of masculinity. And I think that women have played a role on demasculating men unconsciously. Because I don't think consciously women want to cut men's balls off. You have to be a really toxic person or cold-hearted to want to do that. But I think unconsciously a lot of women do it. And men fall into that trap because they don't know that's happening.
And I think you're right. I think it's something like, it's just become something so unconscious that, you know, for a long time, or let's just speak about like all these women, like including myself, right? Like we've been in this, I don't know, like this wave of just doing things. And all of a sudden, like when you catch yourself, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this to you and I'm hurting you and I'm hurting this relationship and I'm hurting myself. And then when you really get a grip on that, it's like, I don't want to do that. Like taking responsibility of what you've been doing. But so many of us women, we do that to the men unconsciously or consciously. I don't know, wherever you are. But it's just like, once you know it, do you want to continue to do that? Because is your relationship really growing when you do that? Yeah. Most likely not.
We're going to focus on 3 things. I wrote down 3 things that I believe that a lot of men go through that is a pattern of destruction in a relationship. I think that women, when you understand those 3 things, you probably will, probably don't like me because I'm going to call you out and I want to help you see what you're doing. Second is it's going to bring awareness because at one point in a relationship, we all do this.
That's right.
So it's not just about women, it's also how men, we have to take responsibility because you're allowing this to happen. You're not really holding your own space and you expected somebody else to do it for you.
Right. And then I think we talked a little bit last week how we were saying like we talk about this in the past, how both men and women, you give it your all when you're out there. And then when you come back home, you feel so depleted that, you know, these things tend to happen because you don't want to continue to fight for, well, like, what's your standard? What do you believe in? Who are you? What do you want to bring into this relationship? You come so tired, so depleted. It's like, okay, you know what? You get to do whatever you want. Like, I have nothing in me to fight with you right now.
And that's the pattern that we see. The pattern that we see that women are very career oriented. You're the boss girl. You wanna conquer the world. The one that's in charge. And men also want to build their business. You know, they want to go out there. They want to hunt. When you come home, both of you are depleted. Right. There's no more energy to fight. There's no more energy to build a relationship. So then you run into destructive behaviors, destructive patterns that cause polarity issues.
Agreed.
So let's talk about this video was interesting. I picked this video because it actually shows what men are looking for, what men want, what men are value the most.
So much need love, they want respect. If they had to choose between love and respect from their mate, they would choose respect. Women need love. They want to be loved and adored and everything else. Men, different.
So I had a psychotherapist called Adam Lane Smith on my podcast, and he said that male depression gets treated like female depression. Men are made to feel loved and accepted when all they want to do is feel capable and powerful. He used this example of the Blitz in World War II. Before the war started, there were these psychiatric wards, and they had patients. These patients had been totally comatose, unresponsive. Then the Blitz starts. So there were fires and there were injuries all over London, and there were ambulances and fire engines, and there was no one to drive. These men got up and started driving fire engines and ambulances. These men that had been unresponsive for years and years and years. Give a man a purpose and the ability to achieve it, and he will crawl over broken glass with a smile.
I mean, that's exactly what we talk about. Like, men want respect. Men want to feel useful. Men want to contribute. Men want to build. And if you take that out of a man, if you take away his purpose, if you take away his drive, if you take away his desire to protect, to provide, he becomes a sedated man. And so I believe one of the destructive patterns that women probably unconsciously do to men is try to take them away from their purpose. Try to change their purpose, that their purpose should be just to be a provider as opposed to fulfill their purpose long term. What do you think?
I agree. And the reason I think why we do that is because we feel like, I know sometimes the women that I've spoken to, it's like they think that the purpose that the man has is taking your love away from me. Because what we want as women, like, we want to be seen, we want to be appreciated, we want to be the center of attention. And when something or someone takes that energy away from us, it's like we don't know how to do it, but we call attention the wrong way. And then we try to, like, what do we say, emasculate men, and because we're like, taking away that purpose. And it's like, I am it all. But that's this immature feminine that we have in us, and we all do, right? And when we have that awareness of like, okay, well, if I want attention, if I want to be seen, loved, appreciated, how do I get that without taking anything away from you, but adding to this relationship? And I think that's one of the biggest things for us women, like when we're in that awareness, that's all it is. It's like awareness, right? Like, how do I ask you for attention with this divine feminine, the grown-up energy, the queen energy that says like, hey, listen, I feel like I'm not getting enough attention. I feel like I'm not appreciated enough. It's funny because I tell my kids, I'm like, use your words. Your brother has been saying that because he has a 3-year-old. And I'm like, use your words. That's so key, right? It's like, how do we really communicate and we ask each other what we really need instead of taking something away from you to devalue who you are as a man?
And part of the masculine man is let him live on the guilt and shame.
Oh, that's
because
yeah,
what happens is, I had a client that I was working with, and he had a situation with his wife that something happened that he felt really, guilt and shame, and she continued to remind him of the things that he did,
punch him,
constantly. And this happened for years, and he didn't know what to do in the relationship. He loved this woman, but he constantly was beat down, constantly was reminded of his mistake, guilt and shame. So what happened is that I started working with him, and he started getting his balls back. He started focusing on his purpose. He started just putting his mission ahead of his problems. So he stopped being the sedated man. He stopped being a sedated warrior trying to make up for his mistakes, and he started to rebuild for the future. And at that moment, the Ice Queen kind of showed up, and she wants more attention. She wants to remind him of all the mistakes. She wants to remind him that he's not enough. So that's part of, maybe unconsciously, maybe she doesn't think that that's emasculating him, but at the same time, it's not serving the relationship.
Also, you have to understand that for a period of time, for lack of better words, how you say it, like, you handed over your balls to the woman, to me, right? So all of a sudden it's like, I have this role. I know this role. I've been running this lifestyle a certain way. When you come and you ask me for something that I already had, now I have to actually give it back to you because rightfully it belongs to you. You should never let go of them the first time, but now I have them. So now I'm going to give them back to you.
But why do men give back?
Because they don't.
Why do men give away their balls?
Because they don't want that battle.
No,
they just want to be the pleaser.
They live on guilt and shame.
Oh, guilt and shame. Okay.
So then we make a mistake. We feel guilty
because you did something
wrong.
So
now I want to give you my balls because I want to please you. I want to love you, right? So out of fear, so we act like pleasers. We act like sedated warriors because we don't want to make the same mistake again.
And when you come into that, it's like that energetically, it's like I am running two energies of the masculine and the feminine energy, making decisions, doing all these things. Like that rightfully doesn't really belong to me for a long period of time. So it's like when I have to give it back to you, it's like, oh, what I knew was very comfortable. How the way that we lived, the things that I did was like, this was known. All of a sudden, when you take that back, which is rightfully yours, then it's like I'm stepping into this unknown territory again, and I have to let you lead, and I have to be submissive, and I have to love you. You know what I mean?
The point there is that in the past, men have used their balls to build something that is selfish, right? Now you make a mistake, whether you cheat on your wife, whether you just don't focus on your marriage, whether you're just thinking about yourself, and that's when you start losing the respect. And that's what the video talks about.
And
Men
for men,
want
it's so
respect.
important, of course.
And women want to be loved.
For
So,
men, it's like respect is like oxygen.
so when a woman
Everything that they
disrespects
need
a
is-
man, emasculates the man, and now he feels that he's the victim.
That's
now he
right.
feels that he's part of this toxic relationship.
And most of the time, the way that we emasculate men is we're withholding sex. We use that as a weapon that like, I have this power because that's our feminine divine gift that we
That's-
have.
that's the
right?
weapon. That's the weapon. So now you-
I wouldn't say a weapon. I would say it's a gift. It's a gift. And we take it away. Like, is it something that we toy with? And yeah, then we play with it and we just like, okay, you don't deserve it. Like, I'm going to shame you and I'm going to guilt you. And then you're going to have to like really work for it. And it's this almost like a transaction that becomes the two of you. And it's really unhealthy. It's like you had harmony and you're in this place of such disharmony that how do you get back that balance?
And that's part of the guilt and shame, right? You want to
Yes.
beat down the man.
Of
So
course.
therefore you want to withhold sex.
I want
and
you
that
to feel my pain.
emasculates the man, makes him feel less than,
Yes.
and now as a woman you think you have control.
Yes.
Whether it's conscious or unconscious behavior.
That's right.
Now it starts with this respect, right? You want to respect your
Mm-hmm.
relationship. It starts with manipulating the purpose. Like I don't want you to feel your purpose. I don't want you to do this. I want you to just pay attention to me. And
Yeah.
ends up with manipulating sex. So it all comes down to really looking at this and saying, am I manipulating the relationship by withholding sex? Am I manipulating the time because I want him to spend all my attention with me? Am I manipulating the purpose because I don't want him to fulfill his purpose? I want his purpose to be me. All comes down to seeing me, me, me. And same thing for the man. It's all about me, me, me. The moment that you let go of the me mentality and you start thinking, how can we make this work for us? But first, you have to take responsibility that you did this. You give away your balls. You caused the situation. As a man, what I teach, the first thing I teach is take extreme ownership. Everything is your fault. Your business is your fault. Your marriage, everything is your fault. In the world, everything is your fault. So if you can't take extreme ownership, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Right? So the first step is take extreme ownership. As a woman, do you want a sedated man or do you want a man that's going to love you and fight for you and provide for you?
I think, the way of the world of what's happening right now with social media, for women, sometimes it's easier to have a sedated man because we could control you. We have you at the wits of our hands, at our every word. But that is not sexy. There's no polarity and there's no like, oh, this is my man. Like he's got me. There is not that energy. When a man, like I just, every time I look at you and like I see how you are, like your aura of just like control and respect and the clarity that you have. Like I'm telling you, Raul, like I sit back and I'm like, I'm so happy, God. Like that's my man. Like he's got me. I have no doubt. It's like a zero doubt when it comes to anything. And I love that. And I always thank God, and I don't know why, like I'm getting emotional about it, but it's like, what would have happened if you were that man that's sedated? Because, the sad part and the reason why I'm like getting like this is because there are so many men out there right now that are sedated, that are like,
Numb.
they're just, like their eyes are closed, their heart is closed. They're just like so hard. They have like this armor around their hearts, around their body. That's like, you're not willing to see what you're capable of. And the same thing for women, like, they're so, like you said, like an ice queen. And there's like, we're clashing at each other when really like, we're not each other's enemies, like we say all the time. And I don't even know what we were talking about, but it was just like, it hurts. But I'm like, I'm so happy that God gave us that power, that awareness of taking responsibility of the things that I've done wrong. Like what is something that doesn't belong to me? Your balls don't belong to me. So now I've given that back to you, or you've asked for it. Then how do I have that time to say like, what is rightfully mine? And what does God want from me right now? How does he want me to show up?
And I think one of the reasons that we experience the freedom of just being ourselves is that we are not depending on each other to be complete. That we know who we are. You as a woman, you know who you are. Me as a man, I know who I am.
And that's a journey in itself.
And that alone, that self-awareness to just know like what would happen. Like when I tell the guys that I coach is, what would happen if today was your last day? Like if today was the end, how would you have lived? Could you go back and say I was the best man for my wife, was the best man for my kids?
Yeah.
And most of us, if we're unconscious, we left a lot on the field.
Right.
So
Right.
I decided not to do that. I decided to treat every single day. This is my last day, so I want to give it everything I have. I'm going to try to do everything I can in my power to be able to be the provider, to be able to be that leader, to be able to be the husband, to be able to be the father. And little by little, you increase your capacity, because all comes down to capacity.
Right.
And if you don't have the capacity to deal with the shit that you're dealing with right now, how can you ask for more blessings from God?
If you
how
can't
can you
handle,
ask
like,
God
your
to
own
give you
family.
more if you can handle what you have right
Yeah.
now? So
Yeah, I agree.
People don't know the storms that I go through. People don't know the challenge that I go through, all the pressure. But I know that God has my back, and because I know that God has my back, then I could do what I
Right.
do.
That's
I'm
trusting
not
something
depending.
else.
Oh, does my wife have my back, or does
Yeah.
my kids have my back? If you have my back, great. I love you for that. If my kids have my back, great. I love them for that. But I know that God has my back, and my faith is with God. So from that place, I could walk with certainty to know we're gonna figure shit out.
Yeah, and I also like want to make this clear. Like, we say like we feel complete without each other. This has been a journey. Like, we've been together for 25 years, and it's just knowing like who you are, who God made you to be. And I think that's so important, like for everyone individually to go through their journey and to figure that out on their own, and then figure out like, okay, well, I love this man no matter what. Like, no matter what happens, like I'm here for it. And I think when you give yourself 100% of you, but then you have to be like, the reason why we say complete is like you have to give yourself that place of like overflow and abundance so you could give to the other person. And I think what we find now in marriages a lot, or relationships, is like we barely have enough for ourselves. So when another person comes into your relationship, it's like you're already given something that you don't have.
And I know that some women are gonna hate me for this. If they're watching this podcast, I'm sorry, ladies, but I'm gonna tell the truth.
What?
The truth is that man's purpose is to be the leader. A man's purpose is to lead.
Yeah.
And a woman's purpose is to go with him to help him become the best leader. Like, women are leaders too. You're a leader in your own right. But if two leaders in the household, two-headed monster, is impossible to grow. You have to let your man lead. You have to trust that your man will
That's
lead.
right.
Even if he makes
Yes.
mistakes,
Yes.
you cannot tear him
Yes.
down. You have to help him remember who he is.
That's right. And
I think a
I've
lot
done
of
that.
women out there, they just beat down their men so much. Yes, we're assholes. Yes, we make mistakes. We're not perfect. But if you love your man, rebuild. Don't withhold sex from him. Don't beat him down.
Don't disrespect
Don't
him.
disrespect him, because if you continue to do that, eventually you're gonna have a numb man, not a leader in your household.
Yes. And that hurt. That's the painful part, because as bad as it sounds for like the society right now, like you need someone that is leading you to something bigger than you could even imagine. And I think that's what you do for our household all the time. It's like,
Imagine
you
wake
give
up
us-
one day and say, "Baby, I don't know what I'm gonna do." You tell me.
You
like,
lead.
Would you want
You
want
lead.
responsibility? Would you want me to say, you know what, you figure it out how we're gonna do?
And it's not that I can't do it, because I promise you, if I put my big girl's panties on and I'm gonna get it done and I'll do it. But you know the pressure that it brings
That's
on
exactly what I'm
me?
saying. The pressure.
The
I mean,
pressure.
we see all these videos, all these women saying, you know,
And they
the
could
world
do it,
lied.
and they do it, and I love that. Like, there's a lot of women out there who are doing that, but at what cost? Because I know how much we could do, and I know how much we do, but it's also like that. That's the reason why we have a man and a woman, a household, a castle. The kingdom is like, it's built with the king and the queen. It's not just one or the other.
And depending on what stage you're in your life, obviously, we got married young, so we built together. So I think
Yes.
that's one of the pluses and the benefits that we have, is that we build together, right?
We've gone through different versions of ourselves.
So some men and
and
women who
built.
are in a different stage, they don't have that opportunity to build together. I was coaching a guy today, one of the guys in the program, and he's single, very successful man, and he has choices. He has like multiple options, right? So he's talking about, I have this option with this woman who's like a badass CEO. She's got money, she's this, but I'm not attracted. She's beautiful, but there's no attraction. Then I have this other woman that, I have an opportunity to take care of her, and she's beautiful, and why am I feel pull towards her, even though it makes more sense that I go with an independent woman who we're going to build an empire together, is because at our core, we want to take care of are women. At our core, we want to provide. At our core,
You
we
wanna be
want
the
to,
hero.
We want to be the hero.
That's right.
That's the bottom line.
Just like those guys that needed some part of like to feel useful, like they'll go and drive the ambulances and the
and that
whatever
is
they need
how
to
you
do.
empower your man. Let him be the hero.
Yeah.
Let him be the hero. And the little things, let him be the hero of the big things. I mean, I love, Vivian, what you do for me every single time is like, Raul, I want you to flex your muscles. Can you flex your muscles and take out the garbage? I feel like a hero taking out the garbage. I'm flexing my
Yay.
muscles. I'm taking out. It's cold outside in the freezing cold weather. I'll go with a shirt on. Like, yeah, I'm taking out the garbage,
You
right?
got it.
But you helped me see those little things so I could be the hero. In times when you haven't done that and you ask me to do something and
Or I've done it
or
myself.
you've done it yourself. It
Like
makes
I
me
could
feel
do
like,
it. I got this.
Okay, next time don't ask me. You could do it.
That's right.
So let's watch another video that this is the video that you sent me.
Oh yes, this is from the reason why I love this is because it's Jaya. We talk about her all the time, and she has her website missjaya.com, and she just it's beautiful to always hear these reminders because sex is such an important thing in relationships, and we don't take that into consideration, like how important it is. And it's not just sex; it's connection. Is like this intertwined alignment of energies that we both have when you are intimate. And that's something that's so necessary. And nowadays, not enough marriages are having sex.
Yeah, so let's watch this video. Elvis,
People wait until they're turned on to have sex, and I think that's part of what contributes to the problem is we think like, I have to be turned on to have sex, as opposed to, especially in a long-term relationship.
Life is not sexy either.
Yep.
Like going from a work call to throwing laundry in the dryer
Yep.
to be like, it's sometimes just like you said, get in there.
Just get in there. Make the time. Do it.
Yeah.
Don't make it rote. Don't make it so that it's like every Tuesday at 6:00. But, because you want to have some surprise and some variety. But how can you create the space with each other? Because you do create it. And there are all these things that are like, feel not sexy. And my brain does this little twist that goes, how can I make that orgasmic?
I love that. How can I make that orgasmic? Where's the pleasure in this?
I love what she said at the beginning that you think that you have to feel like having sex to have sex as you get older in a relationship. I mean, maybe at the beginning, yeah, we wanted to have sex all the time, but as we get older, 25 years, we have to schedule sex. You have to prepare for
Consciously
sex.
create that
And
connection.
consciously create the experience.
Because that's what she said, like create, how you create the connection. And I think that's something that sometimes we don't think about that, and it sounds so boring. Like, oh, I'm really going to put something on my calendar. Like, we really need to put this time in our calendar for us to like get together. Like, is that fair? But that's really like, if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to happen. And I think that's something that we overlook as marriages. Like, we just
Yeah.
need to create that space for us.
And I'll tell you from my experience, coaching a lot of men, sex is a priority. I don't care what women say. Well, he may not be calling for sex. He may not be asking for sex, but sex is a priority. You just said it the other day, like, Raul, something is off with you, right? So, I don't feel like, yeah, we haven't had sex in a week, right? There's an energy tension, like, but there's part of me, like, but I've been busy too. So it's not like you've been withholding sex. Like, we just been busy. We just coming out the gate running in 2024. It's like, of course, it's that energy, it's that tension energy. So we need to make sure that we are aware of it. So I don't care what you think. Your man needs sex. If you want to help your man, make sure you schedule sex time, connection, intimacy. That's a priority.
Yeah,
and then
for us-
food.
and then-
okay, sex first and then food. Okay, so don't feel.
I don't know.
Give him
I don't
sex
know.
first.
That's you. That's you. That's because you rather have sex instead of food. But also, like, once you have that with the men, then for us women, it's like we have the connection, we have the attention, and we have the appreciation, all the things that we're really longing for, and that's so important for us to have. But it's like there's a give and take here, and then the more that you give of something that you want, that the more that you will receive. That in return.
100%. So I don't know if we could show me the comments. If you have any questions, I see here a couple of guys saying,
People from Florida.
I feel like
Welcome.
this resonates. I feel numb. Let's see.
You feel alone. You're not alone. We are we talk to men and women all the time. Like this is a pandemic of like men and women that feel numb, that go with like blindfolds in their eyes. Just imagine like you just having this blindfold over your eyes in your relationship, and all of a sudden like God knocks you in the head, or somebody knocks you in the head, and you hear a message like this, and it's like, wake the F up, because your relationship is in danger. And when you wake up, it's like, okay, well, what can I do about it? First step, responsibility. Second step, have an action plan. Like, what are you willing to change? I always tell my queens, what is the one thing that you're willing to do today to do that? I was talking to one of the queens and I said, when is the last time you had something fun? Like, when did you do something fun? And she was like, I don't remember the last time I had something fun. I don't remember the last time I did something fun. If you don't have something fun in your life, if you don't create fun, then you can't feel sexy. You can't give sex. You can't give love. It's like all these things come into play.
So I'll end with this. And this is something I told one of my clients this week. I said, you get what you tolerate. That's it. You get what you tolerate. If you're tolerating a numb relationship, is on you. If you're tolerating a sexist marriage, is on you. If you're tolerating getting beat down, is on you. But if you decide not to tolerate this no more, and you decide to do something about it, then continue. Don't give up. Keep on fighting. One of my best examples is my grandfather. He died when he was 90 years old, and his deathbed, he had his wife, he had his kids, he had a family. And that's what I want for me. When I'm gone in this world, what's going to be left are my relationships. Who's going to be on my side? Who's gonna cry for me? Who's going to say something about me? So when you start thinking that life is too short, it goes by like this. Don't tolerate anything less than what you know you deserve in your soul. The reason that we feel numb is because we don't feel that we're worthy. We don't feel that we're enough. We don't feel that we have the capacity. But I'm telling you, from my experience coaching men for the last 10 years, there's a king inside of you. Ladies, if you listen to this, there's a king inside of him. Your job is to continue to believe that both of you came together for a reason, that if God brought you guys together for a reason, it's for you guys to grow and expand. So don't tolerate anything but an outstanding relationship. And it takes two to fuck things up, and it takes two to build things up. But you have to choose. What are you going to tolerate?
That's right. I love that. I would say, just to end, from my thoughts, is like, relationships sometimes are really hard, but they're also your greatest teacher. And when you really slow down and you pay attention to what's in front of you, like, what is that relationship willing to teach you? Then you really have to extract the lesson. And it's like, okay, you're willing to do the homework. And a lot of the times we get asked, like, what is the secret to your marriage? There is no secret. You just have to do, it's hard work, and you got to be willing to do the simple things over and over again.
Beautiful. So shout out to everybody who's watching us live. Thank you. Appreciate all your comments. We appreciate all your messages, all your questions. Until next time, learn it,
live it, experience it, love life.
If you receive any value from this conversation, comment, subscribe, and share as we continue to impact more people and take it to the next level.
And please send us your comments and questions so we could answer them in the next podcast.
See you in the next episode.